start the meeting. Let's put down our names.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Councilmember Fallon. Here. Farrell. Here. Happy.
Here.
Miller.
Here.
Wood.
Here.
Mayor Cramlett.
You can talk.
He's here. No, you got him muted.
Oh, he did mute himself.
No, I muted.
Oh, you did. There he goes.
I'm here.
Thank you. All right. So, different, Mayor Tom is here present, that he was unable to be here in person this evening, so, but he's still in the meeting, right, Tom? Mayor Tom?
Yep.
All
I'm listening.
right. Good. All right, so any additions or amendments to the agenda?
No, man.
All right, adoption of the consent agenda.
I move that we adopt A, B, C, D, and F, and hold E over for discussion.
Can you second that? Can you second that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
I,
So he's moved into discussion.
Okay, that's the
Liquor license.
liquor license for KOA.
Mhm.
I have some question on it, is I don't think they have provided us with enough information about, you know, obviously it's gonna be outside because it does mark it outdoor for 30 people. But are they gonna have this sectioned off? Yeah. And how are they gonna control minors, since there are minors inside KOA? I'd like to see that addressed, that question addressed in it.
Okay.
And if they could take a photo of the area or something that they were gonna do it, that would have been helpful.
We like to see a map at least.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
a schematic.
I'm good with maps.
Okay. Sometimes it's hard for individuals to take a photo, but you want to see a map.
Well, just even a photo of the area if they plan on doing their serving in. And I'd like to see if it's cordoned off or fenced, so you don't have a free flow of minors through the area and stuff like that.
So a little bit more detail.
Yeah.
Any other discussion?
The city, does not police we just say that we are okay with it. We're not the ones that are policing all of this, and
That's correct.
they can go get a license before coming to us, or is this in process of getting the license?
This is part of the process. They have to have the local government approve or not approve, grant or not grant, the license. It doesn't mean they're not gonna get it if we don't approve.
Right, so does OLCC make sure these things are taken
Yes.
care of?
Yeah, that's part of the.
So we're, okay.
But before I give a yes, I would like to see these things.
And usually on the application, isn't there a spot on there where the OLCC,
Yeah,
on pass, they have a box somewhere where it's usually
It's
checked.
on the back.
yeah, it's right there.
This license to grant or denied.
No, they have a box like where the schematic, like, you know, in the past, with like Thunder Island, they have included like a little map.
That was for the event. This is, seems to be for a
This is ongoing.
ongoing.
Yeah.
And since it's not, you know, a building like the Cascade Inn or the Ale House,
Mhm.
I'd like to see exactly what they're providing.
I mean, there's, I don't know how many campgrounds in Oregon that sell beer on wine or whatnot.
That would be out of their store, but this seems to be serving food and liquor.
And it says outdoors.
It's got live music, karaoke,
Food service.
recorded
from 8 to 8,
music.
Alcohol service from 8 to 8.
Mhm.
Yeah, and good question on,
Yeah, it is.
enforcement, child,
Yeah.
you know.
That stopped it.
Right. Okay, well,
Yeah, well, I don't see anything on this where it requires it, but we can ask for it. It's a new outlet.
Right,
And then the OLCC, they govern.
yes,
Mhm.
they would do their enforcement just like they do the
Right.
Yeah.
hobby market, anything else.
Well, I just want to be careful in telling a business owner where they can and can't put their,
Oh, I'm not telling them where they can and can't. All I want to do is see how they're
right,
going to protect the minors and things like that.
It's pretty, I mean, just the application doesn't have a lot of detail to it. I mean, they've
Right.
got everything filled out that's required, but really it doesn't give us any information as far as their
Well,
proposed activities are. They
right.
beer and liquor only? I mean, I don't think they can do hard liquor, right? I mean, you said
No,
that,
it's just, it's general.
Beer and wine.
beer and liquor.
beer and wine.
But is this required for them to sell unopened beer that people can take back to their sites, or are they planning on serving and having people consume it in a pool, like,
They have a pool.
Yeah,
It's cool and hot, like, you know,
there's a lot of unanswered, but
Yeah.
and, I don't know if it matters too much, because we can still say no and they can still go.
yeah, exactly. We don't police it.
We know.
I've stated my case.
Any other discussion? Pete, thoughts on it?
Yeah, it's just, it says liquor license application, page 1 of 3, and it says limited on premise, so it looks like they are selling for consumption there,
Mm-hmm.
because off premise is not selected.
Brenda? Any questions?
But couldn't we not send it back to them and say, we would like these questions answered before we go to approval?
Yeah, no, it looks like it's like maybe, entertainment and drinking as well as maybe a storefront where they can go in and buy it because it's got hours of 8:30 to 9 every day, outdoor hours, so.
It looks like we're missing a page, perhaps.
And it says that they got food service, so, did the city sign off with the health department on the food service?
It's a county.
That's kind of-
Yeah, I know it's county, but the county sends them with a form to the city.
No.
Okay,
No, that's part of public health.
yeah, I've had to bring a form here and you guys had to sign off on it because I had to have the fire chief sign off on it and everybody. When I opened my, shop.
So it would be a consensus of,
Yeah, there's a
would like
check
to
off list.
see, would like to see a more of a schematics on that map, and then just to clarify if there, is it like a storefront where they're selling it, taking back, can't, where they opening it there, and just kind of what their plan is for minors? Is that what you want?
How they're cordoning off the minors to make sure.
It looks like there's a third page that's, am I missing something here? I see business information. It says liquor license application, page 1 of 3. I see 2 of 3. I don't, did I see a 3 of 3?
Yeah, you're missing.
Yeah. And there's 4 pages.
One, two, three, four, 6, 7,
I've
Well-
got 3 of 3.
Mine are back to back.
yeah, 8 maybe.
Mhm.
8 from 4 from back.
Front and back.
But again, you get good questions and we can be happy to answer them, get them out and bring it back.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Perfect.
Thank you.
So, let's see.
Okay,
Public hearing,
we have that.
action item, appointment to committees.
We have 2 applications in front of you, one for Pamela Thweat to the Tourism Committee and one for Dave Lips to the Planning Commission. No, because it's only that one issue, the A, B, C, D, and F. Yeah.
Did we get a second on that?
Didn't we vote on that?
Yeah.
I didn't hear a vote, no, I didn't call for a vote.
Oh. Yeah, we had to do that before we.
Yeah.
We had the discussion on E. So they all passed it.
Yeah.
We did.
Don't listen to the recording.
Yeah, I'll just-
Anyway, we have 2 applications, one for Pamela Thweat for the Tourism Committee and one for the Industrial.
Discussion? I believe Pam is on. Does anybody have questions for Pam? Pamela? She is interested in tourism.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm just a little concerned that she's only been here 6 months, so.
But she's got great credentials down the bottom, domestically, international travel.
I know her really well, and she does have a lot of great experience, and she's calm, level-headed, and very, very knowledgeable.
And we don't have a 12-month requirement for
Right.
committees that we get to
Right.
the commission or the planning.
She seems to have a diverse background.
I think personally myself, any of the, they're all volunteer, you do not get paid. And if they're willing to step up to the plate, let's take them,
Yeah,
you know?
that's a good way to put it, right?
Yeah, say welcome to the city and welcome to the tourism committee.
Yeah, all right, so. Do we need to vote on Pam? Pamela?
Just a consensus of
Yeah.
council consensus.
Tom, thumbs up?
Thumbs up?
You might have a.
Okay.
All right, and then David Lips for planning commission, discussion?
He sure knows a lot of legalities around it.
He does, and kind of to Brenda's point, it's a volunteer position and being a business owner, he knows the ins and outs, and I don't see any conflict. Good, all right, thumbs up. Mayor Tom, thumbs up?
He votes no.
Okay, Mayor Tom votes no. Any other discussion? Looks like,
5-1.
yeah. All right.
You're on mute, Mayor Tom.
You're right.
He's muted.
I think that was Jeremiah.
That was Jeremiah telling me he was muted. Hang on, Tom.
Was that against both of
Dave,
them
no,
though?
just Dave.
We're trying to get through the legalities of.
Tom, we can't hear you.
Yeah, are you hearing me?
Now we can.
Okay, so Dave has served and he's been elected and he's left everything before he's ever served. So he, in my opinion, he seems to come in with an agenda, and if the agenda doesn't go the way he wants, then he leaves. I've not seen him stay on any board. I've not seen him stay on any elected position he's been in. So that's my opinion on that.
All right, well, thank you. Let's hope he continues to serve on it. How long is that term? Or is it just, is it a term?
There are terms, and I don't know how long it is. He's still, we haven't had that position filled for a long time, so
Okay,
it's probably partial term.
okay.
Thanks, Tom.
Okay, council vacancy discussion.
You have a staff report in front of you, with the resignation of City Councilor Julie Armstrong, the last meeting. Vacancy's been created, charter lays out who qualifies for and how you fill the vacancies. If you looked at a process of requesting applications, the applications would come in and you would act on, review the letters of interest on August 22nd. You could appoint either that night or at the next meeting, which would be September 12th. And then they would serve to the end of December. The August 26th is the last day to file for city council position. So conceivably, this person could get appointed on the 22nd, serve to the end of December, and not run, choose not to run, or and I think it just makes sense. Since we are so close to the election, we can operate with 6 adequately. Just leave it vacant and let the voters decide what to do. And have the new council seated in January as per the charter. So anyway, the choice is yours.
I agree with what Gordon said. All of us know that starting out, it takes a little time to get adjusted. By the time this person's even adjusted, turns out, I think we can go with the 6 of us and do a quality job and let the voters decide.
Did we not have someone that was interested in council when we did not have an open position?
Jeremiah?
We have to.
Eric Keller and Jim.
Okay.
And I know when we were, they went through an interview process.
Yeah.
They came down between Jeremiah and Pete.
Yeah.
And so everyone on the council really liked Jeremiah. And I don't think he's missed very many meetings.
Well, if you wanted to go for Jeremiah, I'd be in favor of it then, because
Yeah, Jeremiah wants to.
he's been up on everything.
Well,
That's if
that's Jeremiah.
But is there, I think.
We don't know what you're thinking.
I think.
If unanimously the council was behind it, then absolutely. If there's any sort of reservations that anybody has, then yeah, let's just finish out the term and we'll see what the elections have to say.
Well.
I was just gonna say that you were mentioning that it takes somebody a while to get oriented. Jeremiah already knows
Yeah.
everything. Also Tiffany Pruitt is interested and she knows all the ins and outs too.
What about the other guy, Mr. Keller? Is that
Eric
his-
Keller.
Yeah, well, I mean, if we were gonna do something like that, we would need to open the opportunity to
Yeah,
all of them that had originally, I would think, to make it right.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that in the interest of fairness, I think and to make sure that we get the best person to fill the vacancy, that the right thing to do would be to open it up, collect applications, go through the process just like we did when I was going through that. But then,
and if they want to serve on the council, they can file for the council. That's the democratic process, and let the voters decide who gets on the council.
Well, I do know that with some of them, they already went through the process and we narrowed it down to 2. And so kind of like when we voted you back in or to fill the vacancy, you had the votes and everything, so it was a good move. So.
Gordon, is the August 22nd, has to be that date?
No, you can do it next time if you want to. We usually give 30 days for applicants to get their thoughts together, send letters. We need to have it at least a week before the council meeting so that you can have all that material in the packet.
Okay.
And And so that's why you're pushing the deadline here. Which you are welcome to do, but it just,
Well, I think if we're up front and let them know it's like an interim thing, it's up in December, if they thought this is something they wanted to do for a term, then they should make sure they get their application in to be on the ballot and be elected.
so you're giving them an incumbent's advantage.
Yeah.
They have
So
a
they can-
seat on the council,
That's
re-elected.
true.
Sorry, I don't mean to go
Yeah.
ahead or
I
not.
know that's,
Yeah.
it's a difficult situation you're in.
Yeah,
And that's why I would encourage you, let the voters decide, let them go through the motions of filing, not their
Yeah.
applications with us, but with the voters, and let the voters pick who they want.
Well, here's my concern about not filling that, is that the one meeting we had, we were hoping, you were this close to not having a quorum. And so with summer and vacations and COVID and everything, we run the risk of hopefully nothing happens to more than a couple of us.
And that's very true. But
Right.
again, if you open it up to make it fair for people to apply, and you don't appoint till the 22nd, then we're in the fall already and school started again. So you're always gonna have that option or problem. If somebody goes on vacation or somebody gets COVID and we're all infected, we're gonna cancel council meetings, whatever. It's a good point, but it's also,
But I want to make sure we're consistent on what we do, because we didn't open it up when we got Brenda in, we didn't open it up that time.
because it was really close, wasn't it, to the vacancy, the application, previous applications? I don't remember, but
I don't-
I don't remember. I know the counselor was not attending any meetings and all that,
Right.
and did finally resign. And do you remember, Rich, how we did that?
Which one was this?
Whenever I got elected to counselor. I know I had to write a letter, I had to wait for a council meeting, and do all that, kind of like what you did.
Yeah, well, yeah, you took Sarah Patrick's one.
Yeah, and it seems like there was.
we have, yeah.
We advertised for the open position,
Yeah, there was-
and then we gave, I think, a couple of weeks for people to submit a letter. Yours
Yeah.
came in and
Yeah, and the difference was that I think there was 2 years left of that term,
Yeah,
where this is a few months.
yeah.
Yeah, I've kind of been there. My feeling coming into this meeting was there's no urgency and
Mhm.
let's just wait till the election and fill it then.
Yeah,
Butch, your thoughts on it?
If we don't go with Jeremiah, then I would say wait.
Brenda?
I think we should wait.
Tammy.
I'd rather have it filled with someone that knows what we're all about, but, I will go with these guys if that's the way that we're going.
I'm kind of in I would like to fill the seat,
Yeah.
just because it makes me feel that night when we didn't know, I forget who it was, but we're like, oh man, we're not getting enough. And so that just anything can happen in this day, and I do know that, the individual here, he's in every meeting, I'm always open for more ideas and thoughts on that, but it wouldn't be like a blind, he's already interviewed, so it wouldn't be like somebody who doesn't know council procedures or anything like that.
But I guess I'm not clear what you're suggesting, Kathy. It sounds like you'd like to fill it, but are you saying we fill it with Jeremiah, or are you
Yes.
saying we
Yeah,
run through the process as we've done in the past?
no, I'm saying it's such a short period of time, and stuff to fill it with Jeremiah, and, that way we're ensured another seat and another voice.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of big decisions coming up till the end of the year. There's a lot of transition. We're hiring a new city administrator. Mary Ann's transitioning out. We're hiring another one, and I'm open to having more somebody who's aware of the process.
Mayor?
Sure. Mayor Tom?
I haven't been able to pick up all the conversation, but I have picked up most of it. But I'm not sure exactly. Basically, where I'm at on this is I just want to follow the lead of the majority of the council. So whatever you have that's heading towards the majority there, I'm with that.
All right, thank you. Well, what do you want to do?
I guess I either vote that we don't fill it, or we just put Jeremiah in that place. And I guess I feel comfortable with that one because, you know, we've all recognized already Jeremiah, and I recognize that even when I was applying, he'd already been coming to a lot of the meetings. He's really up to speed with a lot of the issues surrounding the community. But it wasn't that long ago that we were just looking to fill the vacancy that I filled. And so I feel like we did go, you know, we opened it up, we got applications from people that are interested. We talked to the people that are interested. And so I guess that's why I feel like it would be appropriate to fill it without necessarily posting it again, because we just went through this so recently. And we still have, what, how many vacancies left that people are applying for on the council?
Only one.
No, for the election.
Oh,
My seat's up.
The mayor and 3 council.
So, which I
Yeah.
don't feel like us
Charter.
putting him in this position is going to preclude other people from
Right.
participating if they so choose. That's all I'm
Right.
saying.
I would agree.
What I don't think really makes sense is to go through this process and
Yeah, I
delay it
don't wanna
6
do
weeks,
that.
you know, yeah, like we either fill it or we don't.
Right,
Jeremiah could start at the next meeting.
well, and he has expressed interest, so we need a motion or need a motion?
I move that we have Jeremiah on city council
For the
Two.
remainder of
for the
the,
remainder
for
of
the term.
Julie's term.
Is there a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I
All opposed? Okay.
Carries. We'll swear you in next time, Jeremiah. You can come in person if you'd like.
I will certainly be there in person going forward. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. Approved first reading of ordinance 456, banning psilocybin manufacturing and service centers.
I hate to spring this one on you so fast, but if we're gonna put this to the ballot, we need to take action on it tonight and the next time. If you don't want to ban the manufacturer or service centers in the city council, in the city limits, then you can just not pass the ordinance. So because this is the first reading, and we only got this to you 5 days ahead of time, I need to read it in full. So,
Go for it.
okay. Ordinance number 456, ordinance of the city of Cascade, Oregon, declaring a ban on psilocybin service centers and the manufacture of psilocybin products. Whereas in November 2020, Oregon voters approved ballot measure 109, known as the Oregon Psilocybin Service Act, codified as ORS 475A, which allows for the manufacture, delivery, and administration of psilocybin at licensed facilities. Whereas ORS 475A.235 provides that the Oregon Health Authority will regulate the manufacturing, transportation, delivery, sale, and purchase of psilocybin products and the provision of psilocybin services in the state. Whereas the Oregon Health Authority has initiated a rulemaking process to implement the state psilocybin regulatory program and intends to begin accepting applications for psilocybin-related licenses by January 2, 2023. Whereas of the date of this ordinance, the Oregon Health Authority has not completed the rulemaking process for implementing the state psilocybin regulatory program, and the city of Cascade lots is uncertain on the manufacture, delivery, and administration of psilocybin at licensed psilocybin facilities will operate within the city. Whereas ORS 475A.718, it provides that a city council may adopt an ordinance to be referred to the electors of the city prohibiting the establishment of state licensed psilocybin product manufacturers and or psilocybin service centers in the area subject to the jurisdiction of the city. And whereas the city council seeks to refer to the voters of the Cascade locks, the question of whether to establish a ban on state licensed psilocybin product manufacturers and psilocybin service centers within the city's jurisdictional boundaries. Now therefore, the city of Cascade Locks, Hoover County, Oregon, ordains as follows. Section 1, prohibition. The establishment of psilocybin product manufacturers license under ORS 475A.290 and psilocybin service centers under ORS 475A.305 is prohibited in the city of Cascade Locks. Section 2, referral. This ordinance is referred to the electors of the city of Cascade Locks for approval of the next statewide general election on November 8, 2022. Section 3, effective date. This ordinance shall take effect and become operative 30 days after the day on which it is approved by a majority of voters. First reading by the city council this 25th day of July, 2022. So,
Thank you.
thank you. And again, we'll discuss it next week, or next council meeting, on whether or not you want to approve the second reading and the resolution, sending it to the voters.
Appearance of interested citizens.
We have Denise Baker.
Thank you. Do I sit here? Do I-
Sure, that's
Sure.
fine.
Thanks.
You're great.
My full name is Denise Emily Quaker. Hello. Esteemed council. I'm Mayor Tom on the TV. I've lived here almost 2 years. My husband and I moved here, and my service dog Jackie Chan, whom you've seen in many places in town. And I've been very involved. I'm an online teacher, retired K-12 from Oregon Trail School District, and then I'm a remote teacher, a professor right now, and an equity trainer nationally. My husband is a trainer for the postal service and a volunteer fireman again, Cascade Locks. I just want to say welcome. We love it here. We have fully embraced moving here. I have not been to every meeting or any meeting, Jeremiah, purposefully since I got a new job and a new home and lost my mom and stepdad in the last 2 years. So there's a lot going on, but we are, I just wanted to say I'm ready to get involved. I know every name that's been mentioned tonight, Pamela, David, Tom, Jeremiah, I know the owners of the KOA. So I'm part of the Gorge Canoe Club. I do lots of social media promotion of all the businesses in town. It's something that I do. I was very involved in the city of Milwaukee in the arts committee, on the industrial area development committee, part of a little bit on the river keepers committee there for the Johnson Creek watershed. And as well, when I lived in Welch's, part of the Woodland development committee that made lots of great plans that have not yet come to fruition. But anyway, so I do appreciate being involved a little bit already with the school, but I'm holding back from subbing, although the principal always kind of tries to get me. So I just want to come and finally meet you and make a commitment to try to come more often. Another thing I did that was very important in the city of Milwaukee was the Milwaukee Downtown Business Association, and I'm not seeing that happen here. While I get very excited about the one in Stevenson, spoken to the owner, AJ's Market and other than. So I'm trying to learn the best way for me to be of help here. And Kathy has become my friend and has encouraged me that coming to city council is a safe place to come and that I'm, it's summer, so I've got just a couple of weeks before I'm back in school, but I want to say we love it here. Thank you for the job that you're doing. I know it's never an easy job, and as the world changes and, trying to keep things beautiful and for the community while new developments coming, we want more money, but we want things to be beautiful. And so I tend to try to help keep people positive, even on the social media. When I see some of the people get unhappy about things. But so thank you. I want to say thank you. My husband, I feel like we found our home, and just wanted you to know me and get to know you.
Any questions or comments, or just? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, let's see, reports and presentations.
Excuse me, is there a way I can say something
No, it's not time.
in, for the community?
Sure.
Sure.
Interested citizen.
Okay, I'm Brenda Cramblett. I have two questions. We had a fire hydrant taken out down at the end of the street at Wanapa and Venture about 2 years ago or so. And I've been asking constantly when it's gonna go in. And I keep being told it's gonna be in, it's gonna be in. And there's 2 new buildings down there and hopefully there's no fire. I know we have other fire hydrants, but I would think that fire hydrant will be put back in sometime here real soon. And also, I'd like to know when that is going to be put in for everybody's safety around here. And also the yellow line that they put in down at the corner of Venture and Wanapa. On the other side of the street, Tom and I will paint a strip there if Sheldon just comes and marks it and gives us the paint. We will paint it because we are having problems with people parking right on the corner there, and you can't pull into the street of Venture Street hardly at all. And you have to stop out in the middle of the road sometime and somebody's going to rear end us, or we're going to have to stop and a bike could hit us, which wouldn't be very, very good. But we need some yellow strips to keep people from parking on the corners and up on Regulator also, because they park on the corners and you cannot see around them. And there's a lot of problems around here, but those 2 things I would really like somebody to address. Thank you.
Brenda, they're on Sheldon's list. That's all I can tell you. So, and since we're down a crew member, it's tough to get through the whole list, but I will prod him tomorrow.
It is not.
We'll paint it for them. We'll be happy to paint it.
Brenda, the liability of having a citizen paint something would be a little difficult.
Hey, the mayor can do it. The mayor can do it. He
Thanks,
cleans the
Brenda.
bathrooms.
Yeah.
Yeah. As far the fire
Don't draw the mayor into this.
we don't have a spare.
No, it's just his schedule to get it in. It's an involved process because we have to dig down and get to the main line and do that.
That's what you told me. Yeah.
Process, but he is aware and it's on his list.
Is there another fire hydrant in case they need it?
There's lots of fire hydrants.
So it's not.
And we have lots of hose. But her point's well taken.
Right.
We've been trying to get Sheldon to put it back in. He's just been overwhelmed with all the other things he's trying to do, like the main lift station going down. So we'll try and bump it up the priority. That's all I can promise.
Yeah, because I had brought it up a few months ago.
Yeah.
And I thought it had been taken care of.
Yeah. Along with the
How long was it? She said 2 years? Is that right?
well, yeah, when we did the year camp, but it's still too long.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
All right, we'll look into that. Okay, community picnic discussion.
You have an email from Olga, and since we received an email from her, the tribes have indicated an interest of being a participant in our community picnic too. So Kathy, since you were appointed the chair,
I am.
you can get together with Olga
Okay.
and then Lorraine, who has contacts with the tribe, or maybe Olga has contacts with the tribe, and
Okay,
figure out what we're gonna do.
okay. I know we're gonna start meetings. I know all of us have been super busy,
Yeah.
so I'll let everybody know when we have a committee meeting. If you'd like to participate or join, please do so. Always looking for input, so.
That'd be great.
All
And
right.
if there's anything else you want to do, let her know.
And no, I talked to Michaela, and she's gonna check into the school and see if the school wants to have something, a presence there as well. We still have lots of stuff left over from last year, the bags with all the pens and pencils and paper and all that, so we're not looking to purchase any more of those.
But I think the tribes were interested in smoking some fish for it, so that would be
That'd be really great.
really cool. So
Sure,
if the council's willing, we'll let Kathy take the lead.
I'm all for having a meal with everyone. It always, great things happen over that.
And a movie.
And a movie, yeah.
Yeah, and the movie. So it's the last movie of the park, so for the season.
Thank you.
All right. City Administrator Zimmerman report.
Thank you. Dry Creek, the pump is due in, hopefully by the end of this week. And then Sheldon, among other things, will be working on getting it installed. Election packets for anybody who's interested in running for the general election. It's due August 26th. Had a question earlier about the Marine Park lift station. The second pump failed. So working independently with our wastewater treatment plant operators and Sheldon and our contractor that's redoing all of our wastewater treatment and the engineer, they came to the same conclusion. Because we were going to upgrade that lift station anyway, and we would have to have a temporary bypass anyway. So we're gonna put the temporary bypass in as soon as we can and run it for 5 months instead of 3 months. So that worked out well with everybody putting their heads together to figure that one out. So that's in process. Overlook Park restrooms, we did have, as Brenda knows, one of the natives that was camping out down there, and Tom, that it appeared he was gone today. With a thumbs up, you're muted. You're still muted. Anyway. Tom, you're muted. No. Here you go.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just want to say that a lot of people came together. I'm not sure who all they were, but they were able to get him help, and somebody from one of the tribes came, picked him up, and he has moved out to the Wyeth Inlu side. But that happened because all you folk, whoever it was that I think you were part of that, Gordon, was instead of having the police on him, we worked with all apparently the nations, and they came down and assisted him out of there, and they're took him out to Wyeth.
Thank you.
I want to thank whoever helped there.
Well, Kathy was working, and we were talking with the CRITFIC enforcement. I was working what's called the Oregon Balance of the State Continuum of Care Coordinator in Salem. And they sent me to the Mid-Columbia Community Action Council, which is responsible for homeless, the unhoused. And I think that all congealed, and we were able to help this gentleman who was willing to move. He just didn't know where to go. So that was good.
Good team effort.
Tall grass ordinance, I sent 17 different property owners letters to get their grass cut. And so far, 2 of them have at least responded positively. And we will continue on that process. In your boxes, I put the summer issue of Ethics Matter from the Oregon Ethics Commission. It talks about conflict of interest for you on your training. Friends of the Cascade Blocks Historical Museum, Janice Crane sent a very nice thank you note to everybody for the 160th anniversary celebration of the Oregon Pony and Cindy's continued support of the museum. That was a fun event. That was just delightful. We've been working for a while to try and relocate the way station is open sign, to, in front of Forest Lane, so that the trucks do not legally bypass the way station by going down Forest Lane. That would have been an involved process because it's power and whatnot, so we brought the ODOT way station people, the law enforcement people, not law enforcement, Sheldon and the sign people from ODOT and our electric crew. And we were able to come up with another solution. We're gonna leave the way station sign where it is, but we're going to add a sign just down here at the first pole, the other side of City Hall, that says way station half mile, and we'll have a hinged open close sign on it. So when they come and turn the sign on, they'll just come down here, indicate that the way station is open. And that, they pass that and then go down Forest Lane and back onto the freeway, then when they are stopped, they can be prosecuted for not passing over, or not going into the way station. So that was an elegant, cheap solution, and I appreciate everybody putting their heads together to get that done. Dave Peterson, our new finance director, will take over as finance director on August 1st. Mary Ann Bone will be working on some transition projects until the middle of the month of August. Has anybody taken a look at the front of City Hall lately? Did you notice the change?
Looks a little cleaner over there.
We took out two of those big, huge bushes that kind of block the light, and it's a whole lot better. It's not, we're trying to piecemeal things. Instead of pulling the bushes out, then we probably ought to go put in a fire hydrant. It's good. City Hall search status as of last Friday. We've had 4 applications. As of today, we have 5. The first review date is August 13th. Mr. Schultz will be here on August 22nd to present the candidates for the council's review and your selection of who to bring in for interviews on the 22nd. I will be out of the office and out of the state on the 22nd.
Okay, you planned that.
I did not. My sweet wife is having a reunion with her college roommates in Utah, and we're gonna go. If you absolutely positively have to have me there, I can do it via Zoom. But I would just as soon let you select who you want. So.
Say have fun in Utah.
Thank you.
Yes,
I
that's what I
appreciate that. So that's the end of my report.
A couple of questions.
Sure.
Election packets, do you have any data on how many of those have gone out, and for which positions?
Since it's, we don't have positions other than mayor and council. It's not like wards, like Portland does. And so, and because it's online, I can't tell you how many people have printed them. All I can tell you is how many people have returned them.
Two.
Yeah.
I know one.
2. Well,
We know 2.
2 per council,
Two for
and 1
council,
for
one
mayor.
for mayor. Got it. And then, when I talked to, I think it was Kathy, when I picked it up, she said they handed out several
We've had
others.
several others, but you know, if they choose not to do it, they won't name.
They have lots of time still.
It's a personal.
That's what she was saying, a lot of times they can turn in right at the last minute.
Most of the time, they will stand there at 4:30 to see who's filed and whether or not they want to run against it. So, you know, we'll have seats in the waiting room available. They can file with us.
And so we've got 3 vacancies on city council and 1
Yes.
mayor position.
And the charter has a majority of the council up for election every general election. The mayor is a 2-year term, so it's always up on the general election, and then half of the council, 3 out of 6, is up for 4-year positions. If there is a 4th city council position, meaning that there's somebody quit in the middle of their first term, within 2 years of their first term or their 4-year term, then we have to go back at the next general election for the final 2 years for that position. So there are occasions when we have 5 seats available. Mayor, 3 councilmen, and 3 4-year terms and 1 2-year term. So it just depends on where we are with the status. This is a pretty straightforward election with the mayor and 3 city councilors.
And so I do think it's probably noteworthy that I think Jeremiah is probably aware, but he'll have to drop off the election packet to be able to be on the election, right?
If he wants to be on the ballot after serving for a couple of weeks, then he can do that.
And then the tall grass ordinance, that looked like, there was some cutting that was done inside the Windsong HOA, non-HOA. Who took care of that?
The Windsong, I haven't done a review of who I sent out, but I did send a letter to the company that owns the Windsong property. They need to do more than they've done, but it's a good start.
I was just curious who's responsible since there is no HOA right now.
Oh, and there won't be we'd like to have them to do an HOA, but the first phase will not be involved in an HOA, the second phase will. And that's where most of the territory is gonna be that they will need to clean up. It's just that I believe their plat is on the August planning.
Something's coming up, I know that.
I
Yeah.
was gonna ask
The-
what the
the-
timeline.
the-
That's not right, that's not right.
It's Lilac Lane and the final plat for the Windsong Phase 2 is coming down the pipe. I don't know if it's gonna be the 11th or it's. And once they get the final plat approved, then they can go ahead and start moving her.
And so that, just to make sure I understand, sounds like that those that were part of the Windsong Terrace Phase 1 would not necessarily be required to be a part of the HOA.
Unfortunately, that's the case. And I'm not sure legally, I tried to require it as far as the Phase 2, but there was some complication, and I don't understand it.
So basically, I said you can't require Phase 1, but we could for Phase 2. We're gonna build Phase 2, then you have to have HOA, and these people are part of it.
Yeah.
But then they're gonna be responsible for taking care of all the.
Public area.
But it won't be a part of Shahala.
It will not be, well, they may decide to do that. If they want to incorporate, and like Shahala does, Shahala and Wasco Creek, if Shahala is willing, and the HOA people, or the Windsong 2 people are willing to be ruled by the Shahala Windsong HOA, form it that way. They don't have to, they can have their own HOA.
Yeah.
But they have to have an HOA because there's enough public property that the city will not take care of, because it's in the middle of their development.
So they're green space.
And the bioswale needs a lot of attention.
Thanks. Yeah, this is definitely a hot topic of conversation in our neighborhood.
I'm sure.
All
Thank you.
right. Mayor Tom? Closing remarks?
Closing remarks. Oh, again, I'd like to thank the staff again for the help down here at the bathrooms. I think that what we did down there, or what they did down there, was the best humane way we could to help somebody move on. We helped them move on. We just didn't, bring in law enforcement on. So I appreciate that from the staff. And would just like to mention too there, I couldn't hardly get home this Sunday from the park because as I could hear, and I had to go on the boat late because our main street in Wanapa was backed up all the way to the freeway. So it seems that each year that line's getting longer and longer on the weekends. I don't know what we're going to be able to do about it, but I would assume sooner or later the state's going to want to get involved in it, because as I understand it, if it wasn't on the freeway, it was getting really close to having cars backed up onto the freeway in that afternoon shutdown of or slowdown on Wanapa. So anyway, I'm just throwing that out there, as that's one of the things that being a town that everybody wants to be in, and having a bridge here that everybody wants to get across that time of day is creating some issues that hopefully somebody come up with some ideas on us and maybe with the state's guidance to help that situation out. And let's thank you, Kathy, for stepping up at the last moment to run the meeting. Appreciate it. That's all I have.
You're welcome. Thank you. Linda.
I want to thank staff for getting our packets together, and thank you, Denise, for coming to council. I always like seeing citizens at council. I wanted to remind people about National Night Out. I believe that's on August 2nd. I can't find anything, that's what I was looking for. John got hold of me and he's got everything planned. Hopefully, if they're not busy, Life Flight will be there, the sheriff's office, all kinds of things. So for the citizens, that way they can take the kids there and have fun that night. And Dry Creek, you told me about. I have a few things. Forest Lane, my pet peeve. I wish more citizens that live on Forest Lane would come in to council or do something, so I don't look like I'm the only one that is annoyed with the traffic, the speeding cars. If we slowed them down, and I know I've heard no, it wouldn't feel like you're living on a freeway. I mean, if you had to live on Forest Lane and have these cars fly by your house at 50 miles an hour, you would not be happy. And being a citizen, in a residential area, I just cannot believe there's not more we can do. I don't know, lower the speed limit, getting speed bumps, getting the signs up, anything, policing it, whatever we need to do, but we have street racing going on after dark. And it's only a matter of time. And then Wanapa and the bridge, what's the deal with it? Do they not, I knew before, years ago, once the bridge got so backed up, so many cars, it was 15 or 20, whatever the magical number was, that they let people go through the bridge to undo this traffic. My daughter left and got on Wanapa on Forest Lane here, and it took her 30 minutes to get to 84 because there's cars parked on the side of the road. You can't go down if you're going to 84. You have to wait in that line for everybody that's making a left-hand turn on the bridge. And that's the people that live in our community. We endure a lot, and I think we're very patient with all the tourists and stuff. But I think the traffic in our town and being where you can't even go anywhere on a Sunday because you can't get out of your town, I think people are getting tired of it. And I see it, I hear it, and what is the deal with the port? Do we not let people across the bridge for free anymore once we've got so many people, or what is it? Because that is a question the community has been asking.
We have to ask the port, the bridge.
And there's Olga and Jeremiah, would they like to answer that?
Maybe they will. I do know on that.
Our current policy is to take you from ODOT and WASDOT as to when they deem their roads unsafe. So we stay in communication with ODOT and WASDOT. And when they tell us that it's unsafe for them to continue to run through a certain road or at a certain number of cars or traffic congestion, they let us know to start going ahead and waiving vehicles. That's a current policy that we're following. We've also noticed that a lot of the congestion is due to everyone crossing at the same time during high traffic times. So when tourists are coming in or leaving Friday afternoons, Sunday afternoons. Our most recent one was unfortunately due to another incident on I-84. There's not so much we can do about incidents on or accidents on I-84 because we're really condensing 3 full lanes of going 65 miles per hour down to, what is it through town? Maybe 20, maybe 30 miles an hour. So I think we're condensing quite a bit of traffic, 3 lanes into 30 miles an hour from I-84 is quite a bit. What we learned is that the Google Travel Analytics or whatever that algorithm is, immediately sends people through Cascade locks once I-84 is closed. And Cascade locks is not set up to take on an entire I-84 worth of traffic. That's been our, I think, heaviest congestion or backup times is due to accidents on I-84. I think once on 14, but mostly it's I-84 closures.
I guess I wonder if anybody from ODOT is in Cascade locks when there's accidents on the highway and who deems that it's time to start letting people over. And
Problem with letting,
through our town.
yeah, absolutely. The problem with running traffic through too quickly through the bridge is the fact that 14 is a 1-lane highway and gets backed up just as quickly. So we have people sitting on the bridge just as quickly turning left and not being able to make that turn. So in effect, the toll booth sort of serves as that that stop on a ramp that you would see in Portland that mediates traffic. And unfortunately, it is through town that we see a lot of this, 3 lanes condensed into 1 at a much lower speed.
Is there a way, Gordon, to get ODOT and maybe the board and all of us together to talk about it? Because it is a real problem. If you had to go to the hospital, take your kid or somebody to the hospital, and you didn't, even an ambulance would play heck getting through. We've had that happen when they had a marathon in town. And it was the bridge that was closed this particular time, and a runner fell and no one could get to the runner because it was so packed.
Can I just interject here for a second? We do have protocols in place to where if an emergency vehicle is struggling to get through traffic, they're able to contact us and get through pretty quickly. So we would move the traffic along if an emergency personnel was trying to get through.
And I was just curious, in situations when we have a major traffic detour, like what happened the day before, Olga, can you speak to any support that ODOT or Washington State Department of Transportation has provided for additional flaggers to keep traffic moving? Do they jump in and provide flagging for people making a left on 14 to try to keep traffic moving?
Yeah, they really are focused on keeping I-84 closed. So they would send a vehicle to keep the ramp on I-84 closed. They're really focused on I-84. Skamania Sheriff has responded to 14 and mitigating traffic on 14 several times throughout the landslide that we saw earlier in the year and other accidents. But mostly ODOT is focused on mitigating I-84, either keeping the ramps closed or somehow turning vehicles around or telling people what's going on at least.
And I'm not really an expert on this or whose jurisdiction would fall under and whose responsibility, but if ODOT's closing the highway, then I feel like they also have a shared responsibility to keeping traffic moving on the areas that are impacted by their closures.
They do. In fact, in the latest accident where I-84 was closed due to the semi flip over, the Washington State reached out to us and asked us to go ahead and waive traffic, and it was ODOT that took responsibility for it at the end of the day. So I think they do talk. That happens more during the weekdays than it does during the weekends. I think weekends is more of a blind spot for all the folks being on board because they have less management presence during the weekends. I think it's really more folks on the road, the maintenance folks that are in charge of traffic during the weekend, who are less likely to make, who are probably less authorized or less empowered to make the calls they need to make.
But even so, Olga's first point was critical. There are 36,000 vehicles going on I-84 every day. There's 4,000 on a typical day on Wanapum. And you're trying to condense 36,000 down to the eye of a needle.
That's why I'm thinking that ODOT, the board, and
You can't make the needle bigger.
I know, and if we're flagging the traffic.
Traffic is moving safely and
Yes.
efficiently. What I'm saying, that's all I'm saying is you can't take 36,000 cars and cram them through a road that's only supporting 4,000 without a change in staffing.
They do. You can't.
They're not up on 14 flagging traffic, so then cars don't have to stop to turn left.
Community County Sheriff has responded to do that.
Mhm.
And WASDOT and ODOT are communicating with each other, and we finally, the fire taught us all this. We finally got all the frequencies together so that a dispatch, that Hoover County Dispatch can talk to all of the parties involved. And they do that communication, but until we either get 4-lane bridge and a 6-lane highway going through town, we are constricted. And you just,
All I'm saying is that exit, making that turn from the bridge onto 14 is a dangerous intersection, because you've got a sweeping right turn, people are going too fast, and then you've got all this traffic and people been waiting in it. If you don't have somebody there that's managing that intersection and controlling the flow of traffic, it could result in another, accident that could shut down traffic.
so you mean coming off the
Yes,
bridge?
that's
on
right.
turn left?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh,
I would like to point out that ODOT is considering that intersection between Toll House Road and Wanapa and enhancements to that intersection. I think anything that we can do to continue to support that project would be a great as a city. And as a city, I don't mean the city of Cascade, as a group of citizens. I think anything we can do to support that project would be great. It was great to see that the counting that was being done was actually being done during July and during a high congestion time versus previously when it was completed, I think in May, and in May we don't quite see the same level of backups that we do in July and August. So anything we can do to support that project would be great. The two alternatives that are being considered are a roundabout intersection or a signaled intersection with a left lane. How far that left lane can actually go to accommodate traffic that's trying to get across onto 14 versus trying to go straight to get on I-84 west is something that's definitely up for consideration and something that ODOT is considering as well. It may or may not be enough vehicles being stacked, but at the end of the day, I think it's worth supporting whatever effort that ODOT is willing to spend on studying this intersection and coming up with a good solution.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Olga, do you think that the bottleneck is that intersection, or is it the toll booth itself? Or is it the left turn coming off the bridge? Or is it all of the above?
I think there are a lot more people going towards 14 than there are people going west on I-84. So wherever you choose to call the bottleneck, I think people are wanting to go across the bridge more than they're wanting to go across or straight to I-84. If we can mitigate the left lane to be able to move on to 14 and recall that 14 is also one lane. So no matter how quickly you move traffic along, the traffic is still blending into a one lane highway that last weekend, for example, was super congested because of the same accident. If people were able to cross the Hood River Bridge and were able to take 14 before the Bridge of the Gods, they were stuck in the same traffic that the people that were crossing the Bridge of the Gods.
Thank you.
Olga, I noticed that quite a few people, when the bridge is backed up sometimes, I'm watching them pay that, they're not ready to pay the toll. So would it be helpful to have a sign reminding them to have their toll money ready?
Signs there.
Really, I haven't seen it.
I have.
I haven't seen it.
Yes, we've certainly had those yard signs before out saying, please have your toll ready and those kinds of things. We have a large sign saying this is the toll, this is how you pay it just up front. I think we could use more signage. The yard signs don't work out very well operationally because they need to be moved every time we need to mow the toll house park. Potentially a couple more signs would help. I don't think they would solve the problem, but we're doing everything we can, but certainly, anything we can do to speed things along or to help in any kind of a fractional way or in any kind of significant way is worth considering. I appreciate it.
I was just thinking all those cars lined up on the curb, if there were a couple signs, but I get it, you know, if they're just the,
Somebody could have the street vendor, I'll be happy to change your $5 bill into ones.
or like Dutch Brothers, they come and take your order all the
I was
way.
just gonna say that somebody's
Yeah.
standing out there.
But
saying-
then we're putting them through the toll booth too quick, and then that causes another problem, right? Yeah.
Right, at some point, we have learned that moving people through the toll booth too quickly only backs up on the bridge, which is not ideal because it's all the weight on the bridge and we don't like to see that. It's all the vehicles sitting actually on the bridge structure because the left turn on 14 is just as difficult.
Right. Brenda, anything else?
I think that is, and thanks for David Litz and for going on planning and Pamela on tourism. And that's it.
Tammy? Okay. The city administrator thing, can you explain to me again, Gordon? Okay, so is the cutoff already done, so these 5 applications are it?
No.
No, it's still open.
Yeah, August 15th. The cutoff is August 15th. First review is August 15th.
Okay,
And then Mr. Schultz will do telephone interviews with them and rank them and then bring to you on the 22nd. What he would perceive as, these are viable candidates, these may not have the necessary experience, and then you can decide, looking at them, which ones you want to interview.
that night, that day?
You will decide who you want to interview that night. But
Okay, on the
then
22nd?
on the 22nd, and then you will set up the interviews for the last week of August, first week of
Okay,
September.
thank you.
Okay.
And then was there a clerk position or something that we were supposed to advertise? I wasn't here last time, so I was a little bit mixed up.
The theory is that Mary Ann would be doing the utility billing clerk while Dave finishes his transition to the finance director. And Mary Ann will staying to work on getting her files cleaned up so that Dave has a clean desk to move to.
Okay.
And Dave has decided at this point not to fill that position. He's gonna take a look at it as time goes on. And it maybe fill it with halftime, but he has to decide how he wants to structure his department.
Okay.
What is their end date for Mary Ann? So she gets to retire.
We're targeting the 19th of August. But I'm not letting her go until she's good on the desk.
And then I've been approached once again, residents want to know why we don't have our own cooling station. And I don't know if Olga can do any, the pavilion had it before, and they were wondering why the pavilion is not having it now.
That you can express the concern here, but you really need to contact her offline.
Okay. Thank you for coming. I've seen your post, so it's nice to have a face with your name. Thank you very much for that. And I think that's all I got.
But
All right, thanks Denise for being here. And this last week, Tamara was involved with also the school district and lunches for kids. They put out a poster that they were giving summer lunches for the children from July 11th to July 28th. And the places they listed were all in Hood River, nothing in Cascade Locks. And then they got questioned about it. Tamara sent them an email, and all of a sudden now Fish Food Bank stepped up, and they are going to be providing some lunches on the 27th, it's Wednesday. But the kids up in Hood River get lunches for 2 weeks, and Cascade Locks kids get lunches for 1 day. But they also, in their message back, they stated that Cascade Locks kids are attending summer school there, but not all of them. And Hood River students are attending summer school, so they get the lunches. That's a whole different ballgame. And the school district, I think, has again dropped the ball and ignored Cascade locks. And,
And I still haven't got an answer back from Chrissy, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know what we can do as the council. We can send a letter of, you know, that, you know, that we really disagree with the decisions they are making there. We realize that we have no representation there, even though Chrissy Reeds is supposed to be our representative. She doesn't represent Cascade Locks. She just represents Western Hood River. So,
Who's in charge of setting up that program?
I'm not sure exactly who.
Maybe that's where we need to figure out
That's who I've been conversing with.
Yeah,
and see if we can get,
yeah, I'd like to find out
yeah,
something for us to do to let them know that we are very angry about this situation. And, you know, that they need to work on this. There's total inequity in the way they handle things, especially for our children.
Probably the biggest impact you could have if you went to the next school board meeting.
Yeah,
Showed up, like,
yeah,
That and the parents show up.
yeah.
because
Well,
their
we'd
kids
love to
are-
have PTO. We haven't heard a word out of them about it,
No, that.
so that's disappointing. That, also, last meeting I mentioned about having a guy come in, talk to us about community policing. And he's agreed to come to our next meeting if I could get him on the agenda. His name is Joe Graziano. And he will be speaking to us on community policing. He's a ex-Multnomah County Sheriff that is well versed in community policing. He did it up in Corbett and he's currently at Redmond. But he's agreed to come on Zoom and give us a presentation.
I think from the last meeting, the consensus was council was open to
Yeah, I just
hearing
want
his presentation.
I just want to get him on our next meeting. If that's okay with the mayor,
Yes,
he can.
You bet.
So. Alright, and that's about all I have.
Well, I know I've been gone for 2 meetings, so I apologize. Some of my questions have been addressed in prior meetings, but I didn't see them in the notes. Speed limit signs on Forest Lane, I think we're 9 weeks in from when they were
yeah,
on 23rd.
they're doing it in 3 weeks.
Okay, so it was 6 to 8 weeks, but now it's actually,
Yeah,
they're not here yet.
They're not here yet. I checked on Friday and they said they'd be another 3-4 weeks.
Be curious to see how much of an impact that has on traffic on Forest Lane. Forest Lane overpass, I know we got the freeway open, but when are we gonna have that exit off ramp?
I have heard the end of May, the end of June, the end of July, the end of August, the end of September.
So kind of like their speed limit signs, it's a moving target?
No, they have a lot to do. I mean,
Yeah.
Regrading and profiling it, so, it's gonna be probably September before it's open.
We don't have a hard date, because I thought they said it was like beginning of July, they were gonna be done with that. but-
Well, again, I've heard officially the end of every month since they started the project.
Does the scope change? Is that why?
I don't have any clue on what happened or what delayed it at all. They just say, well, it's gonna be, we asked the contractor. And said, when are you gonna be done? We go, well, probably in August. So.
Do they work during the day or nighttime, do they know?
They work during the day on that one. But they work during the nighttime on the bridge down here over
Yes, they do.
No, they're constantly making progress. I just have been surprised, I guess, at how that project seems like it was a lot bigger than I realized. You know,
Right.
and, all the regrading and the excavation work they're doing on the bank there, I don't really know what the purpose was of all that. Curious.
But to make it higher clearance.
If they raise the bridge 9 inches,
Yeah,
and then that changes the profile, then you have to change the approach.
yeah.
So it's all.
It's all part of that.
It's all part of
Yeah,
that.
reinforce that.
Crime stats, I've got a data analyst that I brought in to help me with compiling all of the data, the crime summary statistic reports, and then putting that into Excel, and she sent that to me over the weekend, and sent that chance to look at it yet. But I also asked her to do some research into population growth and looking at crime stats for the county, Oregon, and the nation as well. So I haven't looked at the data, but hopefully I'll have something for you.
Thank you.
Crack sealing, I just wanted to see, looks like the guys have been doing a lot of that.
Yeah, it's on schedule to do more.
That's great. So just wanted to recognize them because that's really, I don't know, you see the cracks now that we couldn't see before. Movies in the park, I went to the last 2, and it's just been really fun to see all the families out there, and just wanted to express my appreciation to the port and all the volunteers that have been part of putting that on. And thank you for being here to join us this evening. Thanks to make your acquaintance in person, and part of, I think, what makes our community so strong is the fact we do have so much wonderful community involvement. And definitely like to see more people show up to our meetings as well. That's all I have.
That's it. Gosh, thank you certainly to city and staff for, I appreciate all the packets and all the information, and the team effort on the challenges with the bathroom. Seems like we've got that cleared up. I'm glad Mayor Tom, thank you for making it on Zoom. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Welcome, Pamela. I'm happy to have you on board, and thank you for volunteering. Thank you and welcome to Dave Lips for volunteering as well. Jeremiah, thank you and welcome aboard, and looking forward to that. And thank you to Denise E. Baker. And I really appreciate all your involvement. And I had the pleasure of seeing her at different functions, and you're a great connector, and you're a problem solver, and I sat back in awe of it. So you just amazing. Let me see, and then address the questions about Mary Ann, and then also I have a text from Michaela, and I asked her for an update. The money that we had approved for the event. She said, quick update, both summer camps are in the works. The mountain bike camp is able to be available to 24 kids per day. So that's pretty cool, over a 3-day window. So that's quite a few kids. I was happy to see that. Letters have been mailed and posters will be hung around town as well advertised online. The film story Gorge program will be a 3-day class up to 12 children and will focus on a local story. So I was cool about that. They're going to produce a local story. And then she said after an after event report will be given in September. So I like that. That's all. So thank you to Michaela for that. And then we got everything checked on the list. All right.
I was curious, what was the background for this, packet?
I just included that as far as information on how the council deals with the city manager.
I didn't know if there was maybe, did I say something wrong?
It's always an opportunity to educate.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting in the context of kind of the manager, administrative kind of line that he's talking about, so I was just curious. It was
putting this packet together on how do you fill the council vacancy, here's what the council responsibilities are, here's how the council relates to developed over 30 years. So how to deal with councils and staff.
He doesn't want us to beat up on the new city administrator.
No, I didn't say that. Yes, that's true.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Don't need nothing.
You don't need a motion?
I revised that.
Oh, you
I went and looked.
I'm like,
And
yeah.
yeah, you need to have a motion.
Aha. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I moved that we adjourn.
Is there a second? All in favor? Aye.
Hi.
Thank you.
Okay, next meeting, Jeremiah.
Nice to meet you, Jackie Chan.